The Southwest Dubois School Board is now looking for a new assistant superintendent. The Indiana Youth Institute brings us a special presentation on summer hunger, and Kurt Gooksell talks about a big announcement for Jasper football's 2013 schedule ahead in sports. Those stories and much more are up next here on 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. In your news, for the second time in as many months, the second in command of a Dubois County School Corporation has decided to move on. Last night, the Southwest Dubois School Corporation accepted the resignation of Assistant to the Superintendent and Transportation Director Chad Shank. Shank has spent a total of 12 years in education, the last 5 of which in the Southwest Schools system, where he first served as assistant principal at Huntingburg Elementary School and assistant to the superintendent, before becoming the corporation's transportation director as well as assistant to the superintendent. Prior to arriving at Southwest Dubois, Shank was principal at Tell City Junior-Senior High School. Shank says looking back, the last 5 years in the Southwest system has been the richest time that he's had in his career in education thus far. Shanks says he's proud of what's been accomplished during that time, thanks to the support of the community, parents, and staff.
I've really enjoyed my time here. We've asked staff and we've asked parents, we've asked students to bend and think outside the box and really get on board with a lot of professional development and improvement. And everybody has met that challenge really with a head of steam that has really shown itself in our district improvement, in our building improvement. We're now A schools, and you've heard today some of the improvements on the positive behavior interventions and supports with the school behavior policy improving. I just can't say enough about the work of our administrators and the teachers and the support staff as well, looking at that overall goal, knowing that we needed to improve, and in the past 5 years being able to see that happen. It's been a real blessing in my career.
Shank is leaving the corporation after having accepted the position of Transportation Director of West Clark Community Schools in Sellersburg. The West Clark Corporation consists of Henryville, Silver Creek, and Borden High Schools, as well as middle and elementary schools. Southwest Superintendent Mike Eineman says Shank's work on the transportation side of the Southwest School District the last 5 years speaks for itself.
The transportation aspect of it, it's in great shape. I mean, we have bus contracts out for a couple years, in some cases about 6 years out. We have, our funding is good in bus transportation, so, you can't fault a guy for that. I mean, he worked hard with it, and I don't think people realize what all there is with the transportation, especially with the buses and the bids and getting contracts out and so on.
As mentioned moments ago, Shank becomes the second assistant superintendent of a Dubois County School Corporation to leave in the last couple of months. Last month, Bob Hacker resigned from the Greater Jasper School Corporation to become the superintendent of the White River Valley School District in Greene County. Shank's resignation is effective at the end of the month, after which he will immediately begin his new job at West Clark. Also last night, the Southwest Board officially promoted Kelly Murphy to principal at Southridge High School. Murphy has spent the last 8 years at Southridge as the school's assistant principal as well as head football coach. He became the school's interim principal in April when then principal Mike Eineman replaced the retiring Terry Inlow as the corporation's superintendent. Now with the interim tag removed, Murphy says he's ready and looking forward to the upcoming school year.
Being an assistant, you kind of know how things roll anyway a little bit, so that'll help. But certainly, being in the interim part of it in April, I really worked with the teachers to try to get an idea of what they wanted and what we need to do to continue what we're doing at Southridge. And I think at this point in time, it's going to be one of those where you move through the year and change things as they come. Maybe if they need changed, or keep them the same. Mr. Hyman did an awesome job for me for the last 8 years, training me in, and it's an exciting time for me, and to hopefully along with the teachers and students be able to get Southridge and move it forward and make it a great place to learn.
Meanwhile, Eineman says the transition at the high school has gone smoothly, something that he expects to continue.
He knows the ins and outs. He's been in the building there as assistant for 7 or 8 years or so. So he'll do a fine job. And, if there's questions, I'm willing to answer anything, and because there will be questions as you get going, because you don't realize, even my job now, I don't realize all the ins and outs, and believe me, it can be mind-boggling. But Kelly will do a super job, and the teachers and students they'll get along great there at the high school.
Scott Buning was hired last month as the Dean of Students and head football coach for Southridge High School. He previously taught and coached at Jennings County High School in North Vernon. Murphy officially becomes the principal of Southridge High School on July 1st. He will have a 2-year contract extending through June 30th of 2015. Dubois and all but one of its surrounding counties saw at least some kind of increase in unemployment last month. As a result of the numbers released this morning by the Indiana Department of Workforce Development, Dubois County has been replaced as the county with the state's lowest unemployment rate. Overall, the state added a smattering of jobs in May, and the unemployment rate fell slightly from 8.5 down to 8.3%. Indiana created a seasonally adjusted 7,500 positions in the month, up 0.3% from April and 1.4% from a year ago, as the private sector churned out more than enough jobs to compensate for a decline of 1,500 jobs in the government sector. Sectors showing job gains in the month of May included trade, transportation and utilities, leisure and hospitality, and financial services. Business and professional services, a category that includes temporary workers, also was up substantially. Declines happened in private, educational, health services, and manufacturing jobs. Now, as we mentioned, Dubois County fell out of the top spot as far as counties with the state's lowest unemployment last month. The county's unemployment last month increased by 0.5 percentage point to 5.7%, falling behind Hamilton County by 0.1%. Davies County saw an increase of 0.7% up to 6.2%, but remains third in the state. Martin County rose 0.5% to 6.5%. Spencer and Perry counties both saw an increase of 0.5% at 7.2% and 7.9% respectively. Pike County experienced an increase of 1.3% up to 8.2%, while Orange is up just 0.1% to 8.9%. Crawford County was the only local county that actually saw a drop in May, falling 0.8% to 9.5%. Fountain County passed Fayette County with the state's highest unemployment rate at an even 12%. Jasper-based Kimball International has announced the promotion and appointment of Lonnie Nicholson to the newly created position of Vice President of Business Analytics. In his new position, Nicholson will have responsibility for the conduct of ongoing research and assessments of analytic tools, benchmarking best practices, providing strategic thought leadership, coaching and counseling to Kimball's International numerous business units as leaders and operational teams, as well as assisting units with mentoring and internal talent development in these fields. His appointment is effective on June 30th with immediate assumption of his new duties and responsibilities. The 49-year-old joined Kimball's Corporate Information Technology Department in 1986 and has held various technical, operational, and management positions, leading to his promotion to Vice President. Nicholson earned a bachelor's degree in computer science and mathematics from Indiana University. He holds a professional certification as a global professional in human resources and performed postgraduate work in executive education at Indiana University's Kelley School of Business. He, his wife, and 3 children all live in Jasper. Yesterday afternoon, Dubois County Sheriff Donnie Lampert presented a $500 scholarship from the Indiana Sheriff's Association. The scholarship is awarded statewide to college students looking for a career in law enforcement or related careers in criminal justice. This year's winner from Dubois County was 19-year-old Teresa Bowling of Huntingburg. Bowling, a 2012 graduate of Southridge High School, becomes a second-time winner of the scholarship and one of 40 winners across all 92 Indiana counties. Bowling says though she wasn't initially sure what she wanted to do for a career, she knew she wanted to do something where she was in charge, and that is what drove her towards law enforcement.
It was just one of these things where I've always known I wanted to do something where I was in charge, like I could be in control of a situation, helping people, doing something with my life that's more than just not doing something. And one day I was talking with my mom and I was just sitting there and all of a sudden I was like, that's it. I was like, I think I want to be a cop. And she was like, that's what, like, she knew that was what I was supposed to do. And she was just like, that's what you got to do. So then it just dawned on me and now I'm pursuing it.
Bowling says she is hoping to apply to police stations and work for a department in order to get that department to pay for her to go through police academy. She says if that is unsuccessful, she wants to go directly to the police academy and later try to go on into the police force. Bowling says winning a scholarship to help in her studies makes her feel very grateful because of how competitive scholarship awards are.
It makes me feel so grateful because I know how hard it is to get scholarships because I've seen it, and just knowing that I could get it and knowing that I have support getting it just makes me feel amazing. Like I feel so grateful just to be like in an environment where people care so much about these important things, like even though they're so small, but it's awesome.
Lampert says though he wasn't on the board that chose Bowling as one of 40 winners from across the state, the thing that stuck out to him most in the short time that he was around Bowling was her professionalism, which is a trait that Lampert says is important for any law enforcement officer.
What didn't stand out with her when we did this tour? What didn't stand out with her? She's professional. You know, just by the short time that we've been here and going through the little ceremony and going through the tour, you see a demeanor in that young lady that it looks to me they nailed it. Someone who has that professionalism, that trust, caring, exactly what you're looking in law enforcement officers.
Lampert also had this final piece of advice for anyone that is considering a law enforcement career.
Try to get some type of military or some type of college training. The biggest thing is stay away from the illegal stuff. Don't take a chance on a minor consuming. Don't take a chance on an OWI. Speeding, same way. Don't take a chance on rolling through a stop sign. The competition out there is so incredible right now because this is a demanding job, and there's a lot more people that are interested in this career field.
Bowling is a sophomore at the University of Southern Indiana and is studying criminal justice. She is the daughter of Richard and Christy Bowling of Huntingburg. Her grandfather, David Carrico, is a member of the Indiana Sheriff's Association. And a reminder for our Ferdinand viewers, the Ferdinand Municipal Water Department will begin its hydrant flushing program next week. Flushing is set to begin on Monday, and some residents may experience low water pressure. Any questions may be directed to Ferdinand Town Hall at 367-2280. Finally tonight, we bring you our weekly presentation from the Indiana Youth Institute. With the end of the school year, students on the lunch plan at their schools often struggle with not getting enough to eat once school is out. Tonight, IYI CEO Bill Stanzakavich talks about combating summer hunger and what we all can do to lend a helping hand.
How widespread is hunger in Indiana?
There's some data that really show how serious summer hunger is in Indiana and how this challenge is growing. First of all, half of Indiana's school students are on the school food program, meaning that last day of school in late May and early June was the last day that many of these kids will have a stable meal until school resumes at the end of summer or in the early fall. When you look at a summer youth feeding program that's been around, last year 54,000 kids were fed about 3 million meals. That's a 13% increase in kids and a 36% increase in meals compared to 4 years ago. So summer hunger is a real challenge in the state of Indiana, and this problem is growing.
Do you think hunger in the summer is worse than other times of the year?
The issue with summer hunger is this is a challenge that's really hidden. You know, Americans and Hoosiers are very generous people, and the donations to the food banks are significant in November and December. But what happens is in the summer, we all kind of click into summer vacation mode, and it's easy for us to not be aware of the kids who are hungry. So again, they're on the school meal programs, school ends, and now these kids are hungry. So we really need to redouble our efforts to make sure kids get the food assistance that they need. There are a couple ways that we can help. First of all is that create attention to the summer youth food program that's funded by the federal government and facilitated by the Indiana Department of Education. This is where the Indiana Department of Ed has chosen hundreds of community agencies across the state to provide up to 2 meals per day to low-income students. And then the cost of the meals is reimbursed by the federal government. So the Summer Youth Food Program is a wonderful opportunity for low-income families to receive food assistance for their kids. And to find the community program near you, you simply dial the 211 social service helpline, 211, and ask, where is the Summer Youth Food Program near me? The second way we can help, obviously, is with food banks. There are 11 food banks in the state of Indiana. They're networked into a statewide association called Feeding Indiana's Hungry. So if you go to feedingindianashungry.org, you can find the food bank near you and make a contribution. They serve 1,700 food pantries across the state, and they make a real impact on the lives of hungry families. And some people might say, wait a minute, half the kids in the state are on the school meal program and are hungry this summer. is my one bag of groceries going to make a difference? It absolutely will to the family, the child who receives it. So even a little bit can go so far, and all of us who are fortunate to be holding our own and holding on and doing okay after the Great Recession, can we buy that one extra bag of groceries every week and donate it to a food relief agency that's helping hungry children?
What are the effects of hunger on children? It's a serious health problem.
According to the National Institutes of Health and the Centers for Disease Control, hunger causes all types of challenges in the lives of a child. A hungry child is much more likely to get sick, much more likely to stay sick, get infections that don't go away. A hungry child is much more likely to miss school. They're also, when they do attend school, a hungry child is much more likely to become anxious and act up and receive discipline for that. And, hunger is also a workforce development issue. If a child is sick a lot and missing school a lot, as adults, they're not going to be ready for the workforce. So in many ways, hunger is the first domino. We need to address hunger first. And if we do, then our efforts at education will be better. Our educations at health will be better. Our educations in workforce development will be better. But first, we need to take care of hunger. And hunger this summer is an increasing challenge.
Anything else?
There's a wonderful opportunity here for businesses as well. Hunger is a workforce development issue because hungry kids, it's harder for them to stay healthy. It's harder for them to learn. It's harder for them to grow up to be productive adults. So employers, if you're looking for some activities this summer, you can have food drives at your workplace. Bring your employees together, yes, on the clock for an hour or two to pack those food totes and make the donations to the local food bank. You also can give your people some paid time off to go volunteer at the sites where the summer food program is being held for young people or at the food pantry. And obviously, if possible, financial donations help as well. So hunger is a workforce development issue. We're hopeful that more employers can just have some good, fun activities with their employees while they're raising food for hungry kids in the state.
Once again, our presentation this evening is brought to you by the Indiana Youth Institute. Coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform featuring Purdue Extension educator Ken Eck. That's all up next here on 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.